After my personal struggle with food left me sick and suicidal, I was struck with the realization that food alone can't fix us. So I set out to discover what could, and what I found changed everything. After coaching thousands of clients and interviewing the world's leading experts, I realized it was time to start a bigger conversation. What are you really hungry for?
It's great.
Ooh, good one.
What am I really hungry for?
I love that question.
It's time to discover what you're really hungry for. This episode is brought to you by the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. ITN offers the first and only personalized nutrition certification program that's backed by science and proven to get clients actual results and coaches actual income. If you're ready to be proud of what you do, feel like you matter, make a difference in someone's life, and actually get paid for it, then visit transformationalnutrition.com to take your first class toward your certification for free. The media would have us believe that our highest calling in life is to worry about how we look and that our shoes match our handbag. Our priorities are a little jumbled up, to say the least. Time after time, we're shown that our value, particularly as women, lies in how we look, what we weigh, how clean our house is, and how cool the project that we send to school with our kid is. But all of these things are just distractions from something else, from our higher calling. That calling that says, wake up, there's something important for you to do here on this planet. Our highest self desires expression. It doesn't think about the nail polish, the latest trends, or the new fad diet. Our highest self has bigger things to tackle. But by buying into what society says we should be focusing on, we're distracting ourselves from the things in life which are way more important, more vital, more meaningful. For some women, that meaning may be in spending more time playing with their children. For others, it might be in writing that book that they've had inside of them just ready to burst out their entire lives. And yet for other women, it might be volunteering at a local homeless shelter. The calling of your higher self is as unique as you are, as beautiful and as amazing as you are. But are you hearing that call, or are you focused on the surface level? Imagine someone handing you a stack of Post-it notes and asking you to write down statements about how you honestly feel about your body, starting at your head and working your way all the way down to your toes. What would you write about your face, about your stomach, your hips, your thighs? Today's guest, Melody Moore, is a licensed clinical psychologist and a certified yoga teacher, and she does just that same exercise with her clients. She works with women with disordered eating to help heal their body image and their minds. She's found that one of the most impactful ways to help people change their lives is by helping them see that there's something more important to talk about than just the way we look. Melody, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled.
Well, I'm thrilled because I love this conversation that you're starting, and that, I mean, you've been starting for a while, and you've been talking about this idea of getting past, our bodies and this body image that we all struggle with, and really tapping into something bigger, looking at our higher calling. Why are we here? Just, you're starting that bigger conversation that just makes my heart do the happy dance. So tell me a little bit about your story and how you chose to focus on this.
I feel like this chose me. Does that make sense? I almost
absolutely.
feel like the calling that I know that I have has been calling me up my entire life and actually developing me. We think about how each of us has this curriculum in life, right?
The Earth School.
Right, the Earth School. We each have our own individual lessons. And for me, if I can look back and trace it, it's like all of these things that happen, the things that have broken my heart, the things that have been overwhelming, the things that have caused my own suffering, really have led to the resources that have been necessary for me to be inside of this work.
Yeah.
To do the work of, I think of it as calling people up, reminding especially girls and women, right, that who you are internally is what matters about you.
Yes,
and that even though it's really seductive, this external appearance, it's not it. It's missing the point of who each of us are. So for me, it was like being raised in a family where my sister struggled with anorexia, my mom had terrible body image and an addiction to exercise. And I really felt like in the system, I was the big one, the fat one, which I viewed as being negative about me and not enough about me. And I could see the ways that got in the way. It wasn't just that I had negative body image, it was that the negative body image was keeping me from understanding there was something inside of me, yearning to be set free, like yearning to feel like I mattered and can contribute to the world, and I know I'm not alone in that.
Yeah, you're definitely not. I mean, there are so many women that struggle with this every day, and it really is this army that we're creating, right? This army for change, this army for transformation. We need to have this conversation together because sometimes we just can't hear it. And I love the point that you made about not being ready to hear, like maybe we're just not there, right? It's funny, Melody. I decided I had this struggle in my 20s, and I thought I'm going to just get enlightened, and everything will be fine.
Right.
You know, right? You laugh because you know, right? Exactly. But I thought that was real, and I remember going to the bookstore, and I found Ram Dass, "Be Here Now," which is a great place to start. If you're like and I couldn't understand a word of it, and I wanted so badly for him to just enlighten me. I wanted him just to tell me. I was like, do I meditate 12 hours a day? Do I only drink green juice? What is it? Right. But I couldn't hear it because I wasn't ready. And now I read that book, and I'm just like, oh, it's so yummy. I give it to everyone, but I wasn't ready. So how do we meet women where they are? Because I feel like we're still here in many, many, many ways. We haven't tapped in. So how do we get from our body to our higher calling?
How do we get from our body? How do we use the sensations really that arise within our body that are physical sensations? Because I think emotion starts there, that physical, it's a cellular level to inform us, each of us individually, about how we're feeling, what's breaking our heart, what's holding us back, where's the tension.
Can you talk about that a little bit more? Feeling the emotion in your body, because we've talked on the show about, you have to feel it, you have to get in tune with your emotions. Emotions are messengers. But we haven't talked about feeling them in your body, and where you feel them has different meanings, right?
I think so, and to different people. So it's individual. But if I really want to close my eyes, check in, take a pause, take a deep breath, and ask permission from my body. What are you feeling? Yeah. Where am I sensing the tightness or the tension? Where am I sensing the openness, maybe the restriction? Sometimes there might even be like a color or texture attached to a story, and our body holds memory. Sometimes our body holds memory that even cognitively we've somehow managed to block out because the denial is serving us somehow, right?
Yeah.
So the body may have some information for us in the present time.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the idea of not trying to change what's happening out here.
Impossible.
I mean, stop, right? This is not possible. But we can choose in any given moment how we respond, right? That's the choice that we have. So I love that you're talking about looking at you. And I want to know how we do that. Because here's the thing, I've been working on myself for a really long time. That's the joke that the universe plays on us, right? It's like, oh, go get enlightened. And you think you do, and then you realize this is a lifelong process, right? And I'm still in it, and I'm still trying, and I struggle every day, and that's just part of it. And that's fine. But there are situations now, Melody, where I see me, I can become the observer. Do you know what I mean? And I can be like, oh, okay, well, this situation is happening, and this is me doing that thing again that I do when I feel, threatened or unsafe, right? So I can zoom out and have, not always, sometimes I'm just in it, right? Like the rest of us. But I do have that perspective for people maybe who haven't done the work, but they want to, and they want to be able to do what you just said, to realize, to reframe, okay, maybe there's an opportunity in this. How do we do that? How do we start to cultivate that awareness so that we don't just become the victim and we're just in it?
And stuck in the story, right? That's doing so much damage because it's so addictive. Yes. One thing you said is really important, and it's a great first step, I think, for people, is to recognize we have a capacity to witness ourselves.
Yes.
Right? Then we can go, Yeah. Now I can play chess instead of be the piece.
Yeah. Do you have a trick for pressing the pause button? Because there are things sometimes that just trigger us.
That's right.
Whether it's anger or sadness or whatever, and we're triggered and we just act or we react. So how do we have in that moment that opportunity, that sliver of white space where we can say, oh, okay, I get to choose. Is there a trick to pausing life so that we can become the observer, we can become aware?
I wish it were a trick for me. I wish it were a trick, and that's something as simple, right?
Yes,
For me,
yes.
it's a practice, and doing practices that are available to me in those moments when I'm triggered. But they wouldn't be available if I waited until that moment to try to call them up, right?
Right.
So like the practice of
Oh, I
deep
see.
breathing, right? The practice of meditation, of being in observation of my thoughts as they come in so quickly. When I'm in that space then of feeling angry, feeling ignited, feeling threatened, I can call on the times, the hours of practice that I've done when unthreatened, when feeling safe, when being in a container that I can feel like I can be expressive or explorative, and use those in the moment of threat. So it's almost like tricking the mind. But I would say with preparation, there's an availability for that kind of spontaneity. And without the preparation, it's like, oh, the overwhelm just depletes us and takes us over. So practice the pause button. And what does that mean? You know, here you have this beautiful yurt up here where I could just imagine you going up there and sitting in the sacred space and settling or meditating, or you know, we don't really take enough time, I don't always, to like sit in nature or just to be. We get so committed to the doing and buying into this myth of the more is better. And so, like I've said, I'm addicted to the doing. And I have to really watch that. And so committing to pause before it's necessary, I do think sets us up for it being available in those moments that we really are like we need it, or we're going to get ourselves into big trouble.
I agree. And I think the other thing, you know what I think it does is I think it slows us down, you know, because we live in a very fast paced world. You know, it's from here to here to here to here to here. Right. There is no pause. There is no white space for most of us. And perhaps, I don't know, do you think if we cultivate that more, that too would make it easier if we naturally start slowing down all aspects of our lives, that when those triggers happen, that it's easier?
Absolutely. Slowing down, and that leaves room, right, to listen. To really be quiet enough to hear our souls calling, for example. You know, to gain some direction from something outside of us, to be in contact with nature and to be in contact with source does give us that opportunity that, yes, then in life, can we just go at a slower pace so we can be more in observation of patterns, of how things are working together, of how things are interdependent, and of how we can best be of service to ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. You have a quote that I love. I just love this. You say, as long as one measures their lovability by their external appearance, their capacity to accept how they feel, who they are, and why they are here will remain elusive. What does that mean?
That's a good question.
I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Feels so good and important.
Yeah, and speaking about our calling, you know, the why, the big questions, the why we are here, I do feel like it's elusive, meaning it's unavailable to us. It's like this ineffable out there because it's a distraction. I feel like we all have the same amount of time and space in a day and in an hour, right? And in a second. So our mind, we only have a certain amount of energy to give toward whatever it is we're willing to think about. And if what we are thinking about all day long is what we're going to eat at our next meal, or the shame about what we just did eat, or what we're going to wear, or how much we weigh, or how we're going to change this or that about our body, or being in comparison to one another, then that's where if we're putting all of our energy there, that's all we're getting. That's the reflection of ourselves that we have back. This external, objective figure, but not a whole human being. So if we really want to know why we're here, why we've been put on this earth, what the privilege of a lifetime it is to be ourselves, we really have to get in touch instead with the present moment. Right? How we're feeling, and let that inform us about who we are in this moment, and let that be different from yesterday and from getting out of the like, if then. You know, if I could lose 20 pounds, then I'd be happy. What about right now? What about in this moment? How about who you are right now still mattering and being of importance? And so that's what that means, that if we can use our energy in present time to be compelled to look within, to be in service of what's bigger than us. That's how we get the chance to know about our calling versus staying in that, like you were saying earlier, staying in that, this is all that matters about me. This is how I value myself. It can be reduced to a number or to a gene size. We're more than that.
I agree. Do you feel like, we were talking about finding your higher calling and why it's so important to get past this and get into this. Do you think people really want to know? And here's what I mean by that. Yeah. We so often say, I want to find my purpose. I want to know why I'm here. What's the purpose of life? What am I supposed to be doing? And I do think that a lot of people search for that. I also feel like, and you tell me how you feel about this, I feel like we might be terrified to find out what our calling is, because then we have to do it.
Right. Yeah, and so I get it. I can understand why the times in my own life that I've been stuck and they're like, I don't want to know. I don't want to be called up into that purpose because it's overwhelming. And what are people going to think? Right?
Why do we care?
I know.
Because if that's what holds us back in a lot of ways, how can we stop caring what other people think? Or should we? Do we need to?
I had a dinner party the other night, and everyone that came over I thought was so adorably dressed. And I was like, I'm really out of date in my like this small little thing, and they were my friends at my house, who I know I have the approval of. And I immediately went into that mindset of like, oh, I really need to go shopping. I really need to update my wardrobe in order to be what? Yeah. What a waste, And I had to really remind myself, what they love about me is that I'm funny, that I'm generous, that I can be a good space holder for them, not whether or not I have the right genes.
Right.
So I think it's the way to drop the measuring ourselves by what other people think of us, for me, has been what is really important about me and tuning back inside into, okay, what do I really care about? How am I really trying to make an impact?
Yeah.
Not on what people think of me, but on what people think about themselves and my presence. And that allows me to kind of drop the story.
What people think about themselves in your presence.
Instead, right?
That's amazing. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I love that. I'm just sitting with that for a second.
You're like, I feel better about myself.
I'm like, I feel so much better. And it doesn't have to be, because sometimes we don't see our own value, Melody. That's you know that. It's like we see lots of value in other people, but what if we could work together and just be like, why don't you tell me what you see in me? Why do you like me? What's good about me?
And be generative with those compliments.
Yes.
Give them away. I have a friend who says we can't keep it if we don't give it away. So if I see in you, like I see this passion in you, I see this compassion inside of you, I see a humility in you, I'm actually just reflecting what is true about me. I may not know that or be conscious of it, but I wouldn't be able to spot it if I don't got it, right? I wouldn't be able to see it if it's not within me too.
I love that.
So I'm with you. Like, why can't we, especially as women, recognize each other and validate each other?
And validate on what's on the inside.
That's right.
Instead of the compliments always being about the outer, maybe let's start a movement. Maybe we should start a movement. Like, let's focus on the inside. Like, what's great about you on the inside, that true value that we all have. Maybe that would help.
And that's really been Embody Love Movement. I don't know if you know. I've started this nonprofit.
Yes, talk about the Embody Love Movement. I love this.
Thanks. And that's really our goal, is can we change the conversation from criticism to kindness? Can we begin with changing the conversation we're having internally and muting or quieting those internal critics around what we feel like isn't good enough or worthy enough about ourselves, so that in relationship to each other, we can be having a different conversation, one that's really about how you're doing and feeling and what's matterful and meaningful about you, instead of let's talk about the ways in which we're going to change how we look on the outside or make fun of or criticize other women or each other. It can be pretty harsh out there.
Yeah, but we're so conditioned and it's so in us. And you're right, we're confronted with it every single day. Take this diet pill, or this whatever, drink this shake because you're not thin enough. You should be like Susie over here. He's like a size 0 or whatever. How do we stop hearing that?
I think part of it is to understand that perfectionism itself is working against us. You drink that shake or take that diet pill, well, there's no easy fix. So it's like not buying into that there's going to be some quick fix, and also recognizing that what is driving the striving to begin with is perfectionism. It's some illusion.
What is that?
That we think, if we're perfect, then we'll have whatever that means.
You do this thing with Post-it notes. I read about this. It's so good. Tell me about it. Tell us about it. And how can we do it at home?
It's actually part of a workshop that I developed within Body Love Movement.
Okay.
And so after setting the stage, like understanding media myths and talking about how we damage each other by talking negatively to ourselves and about one another through what I call body shaming, then we do this exercise with Post-it notes. So I asked the women to write out
I love how you're cringing as you start to say it. You can't even talk about it without just cringing.
And the reason I think it's so difficult, the reason I ask this of myself and of the women that I serve is because we can't change if we're not uncomfortable. Right? As long as we're comfortable, status quo, baby. So like we have to be uncomfortable, we have to be vulnerable in order to shift and to transform. So even though this is a difficult exercise, I feel like it's necessary in order to release these things. So the instruction, I asked the women to write down all of the negative body image thoughts that they have and that they hold, one per Post-it note. So some women have like 3, and I'm like, wow. How did you get there?
I want to meet those women.
Right? But several have an entire, and me too, stack of Post-it notes full of just negative body thoughts from, as they do a scan head to toe. And then the harder part comes. I have them face one another, pair up, and say, you speak to this other woman as though she's you. And you take these Post-it notes and you say to her, if I might say my negative body thoughts to you, I would put these Post-it notes on the corresponding part of your body and say, your butt's getting saggy. Your shoulders are too broad. You look like a football player. You have acne. And I'm saying this to you. I don't feel this way about you, right? I feel this way, hopefully not, about me.
Yeah.
But saying it out loud to you, I can understand how cruel it is to me. I can really get a sense of like, well, I would never say that to you. And it's like, right. Then don't say it to me. That's the point. And also to understand that the connection is there, the resonance is there. If I'm saying these things to myself on an energetic level, you're picking them up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You're feeling worse about yourself, not better about yourself, because I'm feeling so terribly and critical and comparative about me. And so in that moment, you can see there's this real empathy, and then we would be exchanged. You would put your Post-it notes on me, and we would have this moment of like, no, I don't see that in you at all. Of course not, because most of the stuff we're making up. We're the only one that has this perception of us.
The stories in our head that keep us in trouble, that keep us stuck. Yeah, I love that. Melody, this is great and so informative. Thank you for being here and sharing this amazing information with us, and also giving us practical tips, from the Post-its to all the other things that you mentioned that we can do to really see the bigger picture and tap into our higher calling and get clear on that. I think that's really beautiful. So thank you.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for doing this work and making this contribution.
Yes. Well, thank you again. And before you go, the name of the show is What You're Really Hungry For. So Melody, tell me, what are you really hungry for?
Right now, I'm really hungry for love. Supportive love, a great love, a relationship. Yeah. I feel so blessed to have so many wonderful friends and family in my life, but I'm getting lonely. I'm really feeling like it's necessary to ask for this and be humble in it. I spent a lot of time telling the universe, like, I got this, I'm okay. And now I'm really ready to be like, no, I don't. I really don't want to go this path alone. And so I feel like I'm hungry for a relationship, for real partnership.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Well, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being the light and the messenger that you are in the world, and also for just being the example, for other women to see you and to think, I want that. How do I do that? And for teaching us all something that maybe we don't even know about ourselves. There's nothing more valuable than someone finding the value that you can't in yourself. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This week is all about listening to the calling of your highest self. We discussed how you can take the emphasis in your life off of image and what you look like and focus on the more meaningful conversations about what's really important. So I invite you to choose one of the tips that Melody discussed during our show and refocus on the calling of your highest self today. What one step can you take today to tune in to what's most important? What breaks your heart and makes you want to go out in the world and make a difference? As always, the conversation continues at cynthiapasquella.com. Head on over and leave a comment below this video telling me the one thing that you will do to hear your higher calling today. Did you like this video? If so, please subscribe and then share it with your friends. And if you want to hear more from me, including things that I only share in email, then head on over to cynthiapasquala.com and sign up for my email newsletter so you can become a part of this beautiful community of women who are discovering what they're really hungry for. On next week's episode of What You're Really Hungry For.
Well, I show up at this study, and beforehand I'm just thinking, okay, please don't get the placebo. Please don't get the placebo,
yes.
The real thing. The doctor, he looks at me and he says, we don't actually expect you to get better. The next thing I remember is going, I need to figure out how the placebo works.
The Institute of Transformational Nutrition offers the first and only personalized nutrition certification program that's backed by science and proven to get clients actual results and coaches actual income. If you're ready to be proud of what you do, feel like you matter, make a difference in someone's life, and actually get paid for it, then visit transformationalnutrition.com to take your first class toward your certification for free.